Welcome back. Stop! Look at this pathetic effort down there, Carlotta. An absolute pathetic effort. Look at that, a disaster. Right, okay, so we go back to this Aktionsart from before the break. I can't even remember which number we're on. Okay, which one?
Number 9.
Number 9. Okay, so we'll try go a little bit faster this time. Okay, so number 10 then, Vicente.
I was hating that song last year. To me, it's incorrect.
It's incorrect because hate is a state. Okay, hate is a state. Next one then, Daphne, number 11.
She wrote 3 books last year. I think it's correct.
Yes, okay, it's an accomplishment. Okay, so if you write a book, there's a natural end. Okay, when you finish the book. Next one then, Alicia.
They
Number
were
12.
understanding the instructions slowly. It's correct.
It is not, no. Understand is a state.
Yes.
Okay, so because of that, you cannot use a continuous. Next one then, Belen, number 13.
It's correct.
It's correct. Okay, why? Which one do you think it is? It's an accomplishment. Okay, so it has duration and a natural end. Okay, because in this case here you write an essay, so the essay has to finish sometime. Next one then, Paula.
Incorrect.
So which one is it again? We will 14, is it?
13.
13? No.
No, it's
14. Yeah. He will have walked by Saturday. Is that correct or incorrect?
Incorrect.
Why?
Because walk, it's not like you need to stop, like to.
Is there a finish, a natural finish with walk?
No, you
No.
need to stop. Like you need to stop walking.
Okay, so I suppose if you say stop walking, there's a natural finish with the word stop. But if you say walk, there's no natural finish. Okay, the word to walk has no natural finish, and you're still using by Saturday, which is a finish. So it sounds strange to say he will have walked by Saturday. Unless, for example, you create an accomplishment. So for example, if you could not walk, if you did not have the ability to walk, so maybe you were in a car accident and you're training again you're learning how to walk again, and somebody says he will have walked by Saturday, that works. Okay, but that's very, very strange. It's not the usual context. Okay, I shouldn't say strange, it's an unusual use of it. Next one then, Wendy. 15.
I think it's correct.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, I lived in Spain for 10 years. You can have a duration of that state. There's no problems whatsoever. Okay, so I lived there for 10 years. Next one then, Luis.
She was living in Spain for 10 years. It's correct.
It is also correct. She was living in Spain for 10 years. There is no problem with that. Okay. Again, well, hang on. She was living in 10. Yes and no. Okay, so yes, typically, what I said this before the break. What is the difference between I live in Dublin and I'm living in Dublin? What's the difference?
I can live forever in Dublin.
Which
Which
one? I live in Dublin
The first
or
one.
I am living in Dublin?
You
I
live
live.
in Dublin.
Yeah. Well, just be careful. I can use both. Let's say, for example, just an example, Vicente is here for 1 month, okay? And he's going to go back to Chile in tomorrow or whatever, etc. What would you use?
When I stay here.
Yeah, what would you use now? Would you? I'm living. I am living seems more temporary than I live. Okay? Because one is a state, it seems like a little bit unchangeable, and the other one is more like an activity. So that seems a bit more temporary. Which one would I use?
You live.
Both. Why can I use both? One, because it's a state. If you ask me where do you live, I might say up the road, okay, up here in Dublin. But I can also probably say I'm living in Dublin because I'm not from Dublin. I have not always lived in Dublin, and I probably will change in the future, okay? Probably I will go back and live in Wexford in the future, okay? So I'm living in Dublin. Both are acceptable.
So living is like if you planning to move.
It seems more temporary, but maybe, like, I remember, it seems more temporary. Maybe your life plans change. I don't know, maybe you say, like, for example, all of you are living in Dublin. Alice, for example, is going to go back to Italy next week, yeah? Or Saturday, whatever. Imagine she meets the love of her life on Friday, and he says, "No, Alice," said Manuelito, "I don't want you to go back to Italy. I want you to stay here forever." And she says, "Oh, Manuelito, of course I will stay for you." So it could change, but generally your current state would be, I think it's very temporary. Okay, so you probably use the continuous form in that case. Okay? Yes, Lucas.
Thinking yet, I've lived in Spain. It's correct?
Now be careful. What's the difference between I lived in Spain for 10... Now this is nothing to do with the meaning of live. If you say I lived in Spain for 10 years, is that finished or not finished?
Yes.
It is finished.
Okay.
Okay?
Perfect.
If I say I have lived in Spain, is that finished?
No.
I can say, is it possible for me to say I have lived in Russia? For me, Andrew, but realistically,
Yeah.
is it? It's true. I have lived in Russia. Why is that finished or not finished? It's finished. I have lived in China. Is that finished or not finished? It's finished. Now, what's the difference then between the present perfect and the past simple? Because could I say I lived in Russia? Could I say I lived in Russia?
Finish.
Yeah. But can I say that?
Yeah.
Yes, I can. I lived in China. That is also correct. So you might say to me, why are you using two tenses to say the exact same thing? I have lived in China. I lived in China. I have lived in Russia. I lived in Russia. Why am I allowed to use both? It must be because they're not doing the same job. One of them is saying, it is finished. That's the past simple. And the other one is saying, something in the past has a result now. I have lived in Russia. What is the result now? Ты говоришь по-русски язык? Нет? Ты говоришь по-русски язык? Да? Да? Oh, отлично, blah, blah, blah. Or, I like vodka, or I don't like vodka. Or I like the snow, or I don't like the snow. Or I like Vladimir Putin, or I don't like Vladimir Putin. Or I like Tanya, or I don't like Tanya, etc., etc. You understand that? The result is when? Now, the confusion for students is when you use the expression for or since. When you use those expressions, the activity which started in the past is not finished, probably. So if I said, I have lived in Ireland, is that finished or not finished? Don't think about me, just think about the sentence. I have lived in Ireland, is that finished? Yes, it is finished. It's exactly the same as I have lived in Russia, I've lived in China. No difference. But if you said, I have lived in Ireland for 2 years, is that finished? No. No, it isn't. Okay, I can still see someone going, oh, yeah, etc. Okay, just to clarify. It's not that difficult, really. Honestly, it's just notice a few words. So if I said, now to be honest, I don't want to do so much grammar, but okay. I lived in Russia. Finished or not finished? Finished. I lived in Russia for 1 year. Is that finished or not finished? It is still finished. It's a past simple. What you're focusing on is finish. Okay? Now if I could say, oops, my tiny violin. I have lived in Russia. Is that finished or not finished? It is finished. But the difference is, here you focus on the result now. That's why it's called the present perfect. Even though this happened in the past, the result now is the important thing. That you speak Russian, you don't speak Russian, you like snow, you don't like the snow, etc., etc. I have lived in Russia for 1 year, or since 2024, let's say. Is that finished or not finished?
No, not finished.
That is not finished. Okay? So there is a big difference between using the present perfect with no time and with time. If you include the time marker here with for or since, typically that will continue. Does everyone understand that? So if you say, I have lived in Russia, that is finished. If you don't see for or since after that, you can use other time markers like today, but those actions are finished. But if you include for or since, you're saying connect it to now. That's what for and since means with the present perfect. Doesn't mean that with the past simple. That for is just, that's the duration back in the past. Okay, you understand that? So if I said, so tell me, is this, and all you really have to listen for is the words for and since. Okay, so I'll give you a few sentences and you tell me, are these finished actions or states or not? I have worked today. Finished. Okay, that's finished. I have eaten my breakfast. Finished. The result now is you're not hungry, but it's still finished. I have got a new job. Is that finished or not? Finished. Yes, getting the job. Getting the job is finished. You have the job, but receiving the email and saying, oh, you got the job, that's finished. I've drunk my water. Is that finished or not? Finished. I worked in Castle Forbes for 10 years. For 10 years, not finished. I have lived in Ireland for 41 years, even though I'm 43. That's not finished. Unfortunately, I will have to continue. If I said, I have studied in Castle Forbes for 2 months, it's not finished. Okay? Does everyone see the difference? Okay, so just those two words, for or since, listen for them, and they'll probably give you an idea that it's finished or not finished. Okay? So a lot of students think that the difference between the present perfect and the past simple is finished and not finished. It's a bit more complicated. Okay? All right, next one. Where are we now? Which question are we on? Lost my little questions now.
Since they were kids.
Oh yeah, 17, yeah. He has known her since they were kids. Is that correct or incorrect?
Correct.
Why? It is a state. Okay, so no is a state. So there's no point and there's no problem. You can have duration from the present perfect there. He has known her since they were kids. Is that finished?
No.
Why not?
Why says he knows? Because he said no.
Since.
Because of the word since. Okay? Everyone understand that? Okay. Next one then. Carlotta, 18.
They found the case for hours.
wrong.
It's wrong. Why? Now think about find,
Yes,
what that
to
means.
find.
and then what for hours means.
To find is our
Carlotta, don't look. Don't. I said don't look. Okay, okay, see this, don't look. Okay, stand up please, Carlotta. Stand up. Can you find the marker for me? Oh, look. Yes. Now, how did you find it? Did it take you a very long period of time?
Not sure.
It's an instant. Even if I ask Carlotta, okay now, Carlotta, close your eyes. Close your eyes. I said keep your eyes closed. Okay? Keep your eyes closed. Okay. Right, open your eyes. Now find it. Find the other marker. It's not that black marker. I gave a black marker somewhere. Now find it, please. Another black marker. Yes. Now find it. You're warmer. You're warmer. You're getting warmer. Yes, you're getting warmer. You're still cold. Warmer.
I'm finding.
Yeah,
So
no, you are not. No, you are not. You're colder. You're colder. Get warmer. Warmer. Cold. Still cold. Move. Warmer. Very warm, but still not warm enough. Cold. Getting colder. Warmer. Cold. Warm. Jesus, you're the worst person for this. Look there. Look. Stop. Now. Wait. Carlotta, did you find it?
yes, I found.
How quickly did you find it? When did you find it? At what moment did you find it? Just a few seconds ago. No, it was a few seconds ago. It was an instant. That's when she found it. She went like that. What was she doing here? No, she was looking for it. You're looking for it. When you're looking for it, you can have a process. But the finding is instantaneous. Find the marker on the floor. There it is, yeah. Look, see, it was an instant. It was an instant. You don't have to do much looking for that, okay? Or much finding.
So achieve it.
Yes, okay, it's a blink and you'll miss it, okay? Blink and you'll miss it, it's gone in a second. So you cannot say they found the keys for hours. You can say they looked for the keys for hours. That's not the problem. Thank you very much. And throw me back that as well if you can. Okay, so look for but not find.
Looking for?
Thank you.
Yes,
You can do that with 4 hours. Yeah. Next one then, Paula.
You were finding the answer when you go wrong. I think it's incorrect.
Yeah, it's
Sounds weird.
again for the same reason. So we were finding the answer. Yeah, looking for the answer would be acceptable. Okay, so that is acceptable in that case. And then so that's wrong. 19 would be wrong. And then the last one then, Alicia.
I've been owning this car since 2020. It's not correct.
Why not?
I've been is not with past, with continuous, but also because of since.
Forget about that. You don't look at the grammar. Look at the meaning of the word own.
It's a state.
It's a state.
I own, yes.
If you own something, you're not doing anything. So in that context, you cannot use an ing. So it's not acceptable to say, I've been owning this car since 2020. What would you say?
I've been having.
Oh, that's even worse. Okay, you cannot say I've been having this pen since yesterday. That doesn't mean anything. Okay, so you cannot use that. That's a state.
I own or
I have owned. I have owned. You can use a present simple, a present perfect simple. Sorry. So there's no problem using a simple form, but you cannot use a continuous form. With the verb have, is it a state or an action?
Stays.
What?
The word have, is it a state or an action? So Louise says it's a state, Wendy says it's a state. Why, Louise? Why?
Because
Are you doing anything?
Yeah, don't do anything.
No, you're not doing anything. So it's a state. Except, could you think of something in the morning that you might do that uses the word have? Have breakfast or have a shower. In that case, you have changed the word have into an action. And in that case, there's no problem about using continuous forms. You can say, I'm having breakfast, I'm having my shower, but you cannot say, I'm having a pen or a marker, etc. That does not work because it's a state. Now, if you get better at this, you will naturally make better choices. You will not make the sentence that Louise made Monday with, I will have worked by Saturday. Because work has no natural end. You will have to create, I will have written my project, or I will have finished my work by whatever, etc. Okay, you understand that? After a period of time, you will start to get more, you will choose a more natural form of the tense than what you did on Monday. Okay, just by understanding or getting an intuition for this. During the last 2 weeks, I tried to give you the intuition for why you use two infinitives and ings, etc. I could give you a list. There's nowhere, I promise you, there's nowhere in textbooks that tell you about this. Even in the grammar books, there's nothing that tells you this, because it's not grammar. It's not grammar. It's vocabulary. The meaning of the verb is telling you what's acceptable or not. Okay? So, do you put it in a dictionary or a grammar book? They put it in neither, so you never learn this. But you really should learn it if you want to get accurate at the use of tenses. Okay? Alright, anyway, enough of that rubbish. Now, I gave you out pages earlier, yes? Yes, I think I did. Did I give you these? I did, yeah, it's on the same page. Now, you did ask for food. Okay, eventually, yes, you did ask for food. I might include this in the activity that I force you to do tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to ask you to go out, okay? So for the first half of the class, you will be going out on the route it doesn't have to be the route, but on a route to the school that you very often make, okay? So, for example, if you live in that direction, you probably go up Dorset Street or something like that. If you live in that direction, you'll probably go up other streets as well. I don't want you all going in the same direction, okay? Because if you all go in the same direction, you'll probably get all the same language. But I want you to go into shops or look on signs outside the shops or on the ground, or sometimes there are notices on the park, for example. I want you to start opening your eyes for that. I don't care, I really don't care, if you go into a coffee shop and have a coffee for half an hour, if you read the menu. If you read the menu and you see all the English around you, you will open your eyes to the fact that there is so much free English that you miss every day. In fact, usually what happens, we don't do it on this course, but I might do it, then usually the next day, let's say tomorrow I do it Thursday, well, on Friday, I will ask you to go around the school and try to identify language that is in front of your face every day and you miss. I guarantee there's writing on the vending machine for the chocolate that you will see very, very often. It's right in front of your face and you don't know what it means. Nudge. Do you know what the word nudge means? N-U-D-G-E. How many of you have used the vending machine? Okay, yeah, okay, so you've used it. You have seen the word nudge and you don't know what it means. And you've seen it more than once. The word nudge means like this. Push. but just a little. So why do you think you would see the word nudge on the vending machine?
The items.
Yeah, it pushes the chocolate just a little. It's not like, although to be honest, that vending machine, I would be surprised if it couldn't like that, etc. But it's only a little push like that. So you, on your way out, look on the front screen of the vending machine and you're going to see the word nudge. You miss so much free vocabulary around the school. It's free, you don't have to pay for this. And the same thing around the city. That's why you should be paying attention, because you're in this English-speaking city. It's not because you can do this class in your own country. There's nothing different about this class in your country and here. Then you probably get a native speaker as well. So that's not why you came to Ireland. You came to Ireland to experience outside the class. And most of you miss those kind of things. So I will ask you to do that activity. And if you go into a supermarket, for example, you're going to go down the aisles in the supermarket and see loads of vocabulary about food that you never ever paid attention to before. Okay? With the elementary class, what I generally do is give them a list of vocabulary, and then they have to go around the shop and take a photo of it. So they have the record of the photo, which is an image, and the vocabulary. And you can do that as well. Okay? So typically what happens is the students, put you in pairs, for example, and say, I want 15 pieces of vocabulary for you, from me when you come back. Usually it takes about an hour, okay? Maybe a little longer. You take photographs of that, and you will see that on your phone every day. Okay? Every day if you're going down a route that you typically go, you will not have to study. You just need to open your eyes every day. The vocabulary will go in your head. I guarantee it. Guarantee. This is one thing I will guarantee. I do this activity every course and every single time it works. I say, oh yeah. It's the same again and again and again. It becomes repetitive. Okay? Unless you go down to the living room and get the graffiti off the women's toilets. Okay? I don't know why I did it, but I did it. Okay, right. Okay, so here are 3 recipes for Irish dishes. Yes, I know when I say Irish dishes, it is automatic for the Italians to go like this. It's automatic, okay? I would like you to read those and then answer 3 questions later on, okay? I'll give you the 3 questions in a second, but read down through the recipes. Read down through the recipes. So you have, one is Irish stew, the other one is colcannon, and the other one is traditional soda bread. Okay? So read down through those. Okay? There will be vocabulary that you do not know inside those texts. Okay? Off we go. Do not use a dictionary. Just use your brain.
What is TBSB?
Okay, but that's correct, yes.
Thank you.
And it's pronounced Wendy Tbs. Oh, I'm joking. there's another recipe on the other side as well. Oh, I will have to let you go a little bit earlier, just a few minutes earlier, because the teachers have to go have a meeting here. Okay?
Yes.
You're lucky it's in this room, yeah. You have the most ridiculous sneeze that anyone I've ever met, except maybe my sister. Finished? Okay, with your partners, I want you, with your partners, using common sense. So you've seen how to, like for example, this is bread down at the bottom. Even if you don't know the vocabulary, you should be able to guess from the usual methods of making bread what these words might mean, okay? I want you to do the matching exercise at the end, okay? So what does the word sear mean? A, which definition is it? 1 to 10. So Luis, you work with Carlotta, Daphne and Ying Hong, Vicente, Wendy, pair and pair again. Okay, so Belen, you work with Paula, and of course our resident cheerleader, Juhi with Alice. Okay, right, quickly. Again, use the context or co-text to give you some idea.
The first one. So,
Like the middle part?
Anyone nearly finished? Okay, I'll tell you, I included one word which doesn't have a definition, and I included one word which has two definitions. So your job is to find one of the words that doesn't have a definition also. One of the words has two definitions, and one word has no definition. Okay, but you should be able to work it out from the context. Okay? You understand?
But we can guess about it.
So deflate is what?
You don't have letters.
We have the flag. Here it's
The beginning.
the beginning. Yeah.
I think we don't have the. We don't have the.
Two minutes. Remember, one of those words has no definition, and one of those words has two definitions. They're very simple. No, they are all correct. It's just one does not have a definition. One minute. Okay, stop. We'll go over this. Okay, so the first one then, Alice. Seer.
Maybe number 2.
Yes. Okay, so give me the definition.
To brown the surface of meat at high temperature to develop flavors.
Exactly. Now, again, you did not know that word, okay, but you worked it out from the basic idea of what you would do in a meat dish recipe, okay? So, usually it's just to give it a little bit of flavor at the start. Letter B, Paula. And how do you pronounce that word?
Glaze?
Deglaze. Deglaze. Now, which definition do you think it is?
5?
Yes, okay. To pour liquid into a hot pan to release the brown bits from the bottom. So when you cooked meat, for example, at the end, very often you'll just pour in some water to get the flavor for maybe a sauce or something. Next one then, Carlotta, bias. Did anyone get the answer?
No, not
Good, good. There is no answer there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
It's not six.
It's okay, very good. It's not. I told you. I told you there's one.
Okay.
Now, I have given you the word bias before. Some of you have been in the class for a period of time. If I said to you, the referee in the football match is biased, what do you think that means? The referee is biased.
Like inclined for another.
Exactly. Okay, they're inclined to support one or the other. Now, in cooking, what do you think it means if you cut on the bias? What do you think it means? Do you cut down the middle?
No, like in
Diagonally, yes, exactly. So to cut on the bias is to favor one side. So you cut diagonally. Okay, that's what that means. Next one then, Luis. D dot, yeah, with butter.
6.
Yes. So read out the definition, sir.
Or to sprinkle a small piece of butter across the surface of a dish.
The surface.
Surface of a dish.
Be careful. Surface.
Surface.
Exactly. What's sprinkle mean? Yeah, just little bits here. So dot is like that.
Liquid.
Yes, I suppose if could you all please look at Luis? If you are cooking a dish and you want to appear more sophisticated,
Yeah.
there is a possibility. Do it again. Exactly. I suppose you go like this, etc. Okay. Next one then, Daphne. So E, sorry.
It's too dry. One?
No. Anyone get that?
7.
Seven. It's now it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be potatoes. It can be anything. But to cook potatoes after draining, so any residual water evaporates. Steam is the gas that comes up from the water. Okay, so it's when you're boiling a kettle.
Oil.
So, yeah. So, but when you're boiling a kettle for your coffee or whatever in the morning or tea, that vapor that comes up, that's called steam. Okay. Next one then. Where are we now? Sift. F.
Number 8.
8. Yeah. Okay. So read it.
To pass by ingredients through a fine mesh to remove crumbs and
And what's the last word? Aerate. Aerate. Okay. So here. Anyone know what you call that thing? Oh, I'm absolutely awful at drawing, but anyway, what do you call that thing? It's not a net, okay? It's not the net. I'm not trying to fish, okay? It's the thing that you would use for flour. Anyone know? Okay, so it has a special name. It's a sieve.
Okay.
Do not pronounce the E, okay? It's a sieve. It's for flour. I should make them smaller, okay? So when you're doing that, you can call it to sieve or you can say sift, okay? You want to make smaller pieces, okay? You want to make smaller pieces of the flour. You don't want big lumps or whatever. Next one then, Vicente.
4.
Yes, okay?
To heat a liquid to boiling, then cook vegetable briefly before plunging into ice water.
Plunging.
Plunge.
And you can also say number 1
One,
because it's
yes.
identical. Okay, 1 and 4 are basically the same kind of idea. Okay, so you put, you heat the liquid to boiling and then you cook the vegetables very, very quickly and then you immediately put them into maybe icy water or something like that. That's called blanching. Blanching. You'll get a bit of a shine on the vegetables, for example. Next one then, letter H there. Who was next? Wendy. A heavy bottom. Now that should be heavy bottomed pan. 3. Yes, exactly. It's a robust pot, so a heavy bottom. So on the bottom of the pan, there's probably quite a big piece of metal. It's not thin, okay? It's big. So it's a heavy bottomed pan, and that's a robust pot. designed to evenly distribute heat and avoid burn. Okay? Next one then, Lice.
Dustin?
No,
Distant.
D-stem.
Distant.
D-stem. So it's, yeah, D and then stem.
Distant.
Okay?
9. To remove the woody or tall stalk from leafy greens.
Exactly. Okay, now, even though you probably worked it out from a process of elimination and don't know any of those words, you were correct. This is the stem of a flower. This part. Okay, this is the stem of a flower. And some vegetables have a stem. If you de-stem them, you take that stem off. Can you give me an example of a vegetable where you might de-stem it?
Broccoli.
Broccoli, exactly. And you would always say broccoli, because like the Italians, okay? Yeah, broccoli, okay? So
Broccoli.
no, the Italians will criticize you if you start saying broccolis, okay? So it's already the plural, okay? The Italians are too nice, they're too nice, they would never criticize you, only the Irish. Okay, and then the last one then, Paula's come back to answer the last question, no. Okay, next one then, Belen.
Number 1.
J. Turn. 10, very good, Belen. Yes, excellent. So if you fold something in, you gently incorporate the ingredients without deflating the mixture. In what recipes would you do that?
The cakes.
Cakes. Okay, so you know the food mixer, and you mix in let's say eggs and whatever, sugar, whatever, and you beat flour, etc., or whatever, and then you don't want it to deflate. You want it to still maintain its shape. You will fold in. You won't go beating like that. You'll just fold it in gently. Mix it in like that. Okay? Now I'm going to show you a recipe, and I want you to answer 3 questions for this. Okay? So you're going to watch a woman creating my favorite dish. Okay? It is not Irish. Okay? It is not fish and chips. I'm a vegetarian. Okay? Yes, I told you that. Okay? So, yes, I'm a vegetarian because I try to destroy all happiness in my life. Okay? So I've been a vegetarian for 20 years. I'm going to give you 3 questions. I'm going to speak them. You will write down the questions first. Okay? Okay, you ready? Okay, what are the main steps involved in creating the base gravy? What are the main steps involved in creating the base gravy? Okay, how many times did I say that? 2 or 3? 2. Okay. What are the main steps involved in creating the base gravy?
Gravy.
Shh, quiet now. I'll let you compare with your partners in a minute. Next one. Why is super firm tofu preferred over regular tofu in this recipe? Why is super firm tofu preferred over regular tofu in this recipe? Why is super firm tofu preferred over regular tofu in this recipe? Okay, last one. What precautions does the speaker mention when shaping and frying the kofta balls? What precautions does the speaker mention when shaping and frying the kofta balls? What precautions does the speaker mention when shaping and frying the kofta balls? Okay, can you compare with your partners? And Belen, you work with Alicia. Okay, so back the pairs, pair.
Brave.
Okay, right, so the two of you work with the two of you, and Vicente and Wendy, you work with the two ladies, okay?
Does the speaker mentions when Shaping, when shaping, fried, the comfortable, the
Okay, everyone, there are the answers. There are the answers.
the what?
I hold the ball.
The comfortable.
Okay, Carlotta, move your. Yes, very good.
Do you recognize any of these names, and are there any of them who could be upper-into plus? They'll be coming back next week. They'll be older students.
I think is Carlos the fella who I was at? If it was Carlos, he could go to the operator plus.
Okay.
I think that's the girl I used to have during COVID. And Jeremy as well. Oh, yes. So these two are married.
Okay, they can go.
But the two of them were morning and afternoon. She was morning and he's afternoon. I don't know, but both of them are probably good enough. They're good crack as well.
Do you have anyone in the afternoon as well? Just in your list?
The second last one.
Sorry, last one. Jose's fella. Carlos and
I can't remember who it is now, to be honest. Okay, stop. Okay, would I be correct? Everyone, would I be correct in saying that some of you had a problem with that word? Yeah. Okay. You probably did. Luis probably didn't have a problem because he knew the word. But I'd say a few of you did not
I
know
don't
the
know
word.
the word,
Yeah.
but I write.
Oh, you wrote.
I don't know
Good.
the word.
Okay, so if you don't know the words, it's obviously very difficult to write them down.
But I didn't know this word.
Does anyone know what it means? A sauce. Yeah, it's a sauce.
Sauce?
Okay, how many of you had a problem with that word?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably because of that combination. You heard super firm? What's that? Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Super form.
Super form. Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything in English. Super form. Okay. How many of you had a problem with that word?
Me.
Yes, I would say
Comfortable.
all of you. Yes. I'm pretty sure that almost all of you thought comfortable, something like that. Now, okay, now, why do you think you didn't understand that? Why do you think you didn't get that?
Because we don't know the
Because you don't know the words. Now, so even if you're listening out for last week, remember we were saying, okay, now if you have a vowel and a consonant, sorry, you have a consonant sound and a vowel sound here, like preferred over. Even if you're good at that, if you have, for example, water, the main steps, you still have this combination here. If you have the weak forms, like for example, involved in instead of involved in, even if you don't have a problem with that, you still will have problems because you don't know the vocabulary. So if you want to improve your listening, you obviously have to improve your vocabulary. But I guarantee that even a native speaker, if they heard me saying the last two words there, if you don't know anything about Indian cuisine, you will still have a problem with those two words as a native speaker. they might hear balls and go, comfortable? What are you talking about? Comfortable? Is that one word? Is it comfortable? I don't know how you pronounce this or spell it, etc. So again, if you don't know the vocabulary, it's going to be impossible for you, even if you know all the other techniques, okay? So I'm going to show you the video now, and I want you to answer those questions. Okay, so move over here and look in this direction. Okay, so this is actually my favorite dish. I believe the woman who cooks it is from Canada, or lives in Canada, I think. Could be wrong. There's not Mozart, okay, and it's not this. This is the one. Okay, I think she's Canadian. I can't remember exactly. Okay.
How to make restaurant-style vegan malai kofta. This is truly one of the most delicious Indian recipes you will ever try, and I'm so excited to show you how to veganize it. We're gonna get started with the gravy because you can make this part ahead of time. To start this gravy, I've got some whole spices, cinnamon sticks, as well as cardamom, cloves, and cumin seeds. And I'm gonna start by grinding up the cinnamon sticks in.
Now, how many of you have problems with her pronunciation? Do you think she speaks very fast? I would actually say she speaks fast. Okay, I think she speaks fast, but okay.
Ahead of time. To start this gravy, I've got some whole spices, cinnamon sticks, as well as cardamom, cloves, and cumin seeds. And I'm going to start by grinding up the cinnamon sticks in a mortar and pestle. If you don't have one, an electric spice grinder, mini food chopper, coffee grinder, even the back of a saute pan will work. And you don't need to grind them complete.
Okay, can you remember that vocabulary?
Mortar
And
this.
pestle. Now again, that's demonstrating that you did not look at the documents during the week, because that is the first thing that I put yesterday, I believe. Remember when yesterday Wendy was talking about Mexican cuisine and she went like this, etc. This is called a pestle and mortar. Pestle and mortar.
Sticks in a mortar and pestle. If you don't have one, an electric spice grinder, mini food chopper, coffee grinder, even the back of a saute pan will work. And you don't need to grind them completely, just a little bit, which will help them start releasing their oils. And by the way, malai kofta are basically fried dumplings that are typically made with paneer, which is an Indian cheese, and potatoes, and maybe a couple other ingredients. And they're served swimming in this really aromatic, creamy gravy sauce that's golden in color. It usually has cream in it, and it's a very rich traditional dish from the north of India. So it's not something I grew up eating because my family's from the western region, but it is a special occasion dish that we would have at weddings and Diwali parties and birthdays and restaurant lunches. So I'm going to show you how to fully veganize malai kofta. After the whole spices come the aromatics, specifically onions, green chili, garlic, and ginger. So some Indian recipes don't include green chilies, but that's kind of the formula I learned from my mom, these 4 aromatics. If you're really sensitive to spicy food, you can omit the green chilies and just use garlic, ginger, and onions. After the aromatics come the ground spices, and each spice plays a different role in Indian cooking, so they're a bit more subtle in flavor than, say, whole spices, but they still play an essential role. So the formula is whole spices, then aromatics, then ground spices, and then you can add the rest of your ingredients. So for this gravy, it's tomatoes, cashews, and salt. So I've got 3 really large tomatoes here, and I'm just going to roughly chop them up. Be sure to include the tomato juices because it's going to be the liquid that helps bring the gravy together on the stove. Then heat up a skillet with some oil and add the whole spices. They really only need about 45 to 60 seconds to start toasting, get really fragrant.
Yes, I have a commission with rivet shelving, okay? Don't worry about that. Second.
And that's then releasing their essential oils, which is going to release all that delicious flavor into the curry. Now it's time to add the onions. This is the first part of the aromatics, and you want to saute the onions for about 4 to 5 minutes or until they're starting to soften and get some color on them. And what we're doing here is just building layers of flavor, and that is one of the keys to a successful and delicious Indian dish. Lots of flavor at different levels. Now I'm adding the ground spices. I've got red Indian chili powder, turmeric, and coriander. If you like it very spicy, you can go ahead and use more red Indian chili powder. Stir the ground spices into the aromatics for about 30 seconds until very fragrant, stirring constantly to prevent burning. Once the ground spices are incorporated, we'll add the tomatoes with their juices. And the tomatoes need about 2 to 3 minutes until they start to get soft and break down. Alright, now it's time to add our cashews. These have been soaked in boiling water just for 15 minutes to help soften them up. You can do that while you're prepping all the other ingredients and some kosher salt, or sea salt if you have that. And then we'll go ahead and cover the pan, lower the heat a bit. We're going to let the gravy simmer for about 15 minutes to soften everything and let the flavors melt together. Stir it occasionally and then cover it again. Now it's time to blend up the gravy. So I've got some creamy plant-based milk here. It's coconut milk from a carton. You can use really any kind of neutral flavored unsweetened plant milk you'd like. And then we're going to add the gravy directly to the blender. And finally we'll add some lemon juice. The acidity in lemon juice is really going to help balance the spiciness of all those spices.
This part is not necessary in the rest.
And then you'll return the blended sauce to the saucepan. And depending on when you're serving this, just heat it back up. And one of the ways we're going to add restaurant quality flavor to this dish is by finishing it with some kasuri methi, or fenugreek leaves. You can find them at Indian grocery stores or Amazon, and it adds a really distinctive taste, like a cross between fennel and celery, and enhances the overall flavor. Just crush it up and add it to the gravy along with some garam masala for extra flavor, and you can do this when you're heating the sauce before serving. Now it's time to get started on our kofta, which are the fried dumplings. So traditionally, as I mentioned, they're made with potatoes and paneer, which is an Indian cheese. I've got some boiled Yukon Gold potatoes that I'm going to grate using a box grater. If you don't have a grater, you could crumble this by hand. You want to make sure that you don't overcook your potatoes. You don't want them to be super soft like you would for mashed potatoes, just until the point that they're done. You want to make sure you also dry them out. So once they're done cooking, drain the potatoes in a colander and let them dry out for at least 10 to 15 minutes while you prep the other ingredients, and that'll ensure your potatoes aren't watery. Another ingredient I'm adding to the kofta dough are cashews. Again, to add richness to this, but also we're going to blend them up in a food processor, and that's going to kind of turn into a powder that will help everything stick together. As I mentioned, traditionally malai kofta is made with paneer, which is a fresh Indian cheese, so it's not vegan, but I'm going to use tofu instead. But paneer is really thick and chewy, so that's why I'm using super firm, also known as high protein tofu. You can find this in certain grocery stores, but if you can't, you can use extra firm tofu. But I really like using this because it is so thick and basically all the water has been pressed out. So it's very similar to paneer in texture. And I'm just going to crumble this in here. And then you'll pulse the tofu several times in a food processor until you have really small pieces, almost similar to a crumbled cheese. We have all of our ingredients prepped for the kofta, so now it's time to shape them into little balls. That's what they're called. So we've got our crumbled tofu, also got our grated potatoes, and the full recipe for all the measurements, including both measurements in cups and ounces, as well as in grams, can be found on the blog. Then we've got the cashew flour, and the rest of the ingredients we have are cornstarch. You could use tapioca starch or arrowroot, and that's going to help everything stick together. And the final ingredients to season, we've got some garam masala and red chili powder. Red chili powder is not the same as regular chili powder that you'd buy at a regular grocery store. It's very different. It's just made from red chilies. You can find it in Indian grocery stores as well as online, places like Amazon. But if you don't want to buy it, then just go ahead and omit it and use a little bit of cayenne pepper instead. We've also got some freshly chopped cilantro, some finely minced fresh ginger, and last ingredient, some salt to season. And now we're going to knead the dough, just kind of like how you would knead any dough, but it shouldn't take that long. And just going to get your hands messy. Use your hands to gently knead the ingredients into a soft dough that holds together when you roll it with your hands. I find it useful to oil my hands just a little bit while I roll the balls, because it just makes it smoother and easier to shape them. Gently roll the dough with your hands into uniform-sized balls and try to get them as round as you can. Continue rolling the rest of the dough until you run out of it, and oil your hands along the way as needed.
Co-producer is going to
Oh,
give you
and
new
again,
sounds that
I
actually
am
is
not
seconds. Let me show you first.
giving you a condition.
So I've got 18 balls or kofta here. My balls weigh between That sounds ridiculous. My kofta weigh each between 40 and 50 grams, and I have a little bit of extra dough, which I'll use as a tester. I'll show you what I mean. All right, now it's time to deep fry the kofta. I've got some sunflower oil heating up here. If you don't have that, you can use any kind of vegetable oil. And the first thing you want to do is make sure it's hot enough. So it's on medium heat, and I want it to read about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe a little bit lower. If you don't have a thermometer, to check if the oil is hot enough, add a tiny piece of the kofta dough, and if it immediately sizzles and bubbles up and then floats to the surface within a few seconds, the oil is at the right temperature. And now you just need to take your spider, add one of the balls in there, and gently slide it into the pan. Use the spider to slide in the kofta one at a time, and be sure to not overcrowd the pan. I fry 4 at a time in this medium-sized saucepan. Occasionally stir them around to prevent them from sticking and ensure even cooking, and fry until they're deeply golden brown. Mine usually take about 5 to 7 minutes. Then transfer them to some paper towels to remove the excess oil. Deep frying will yield the most authentic and delicious taste for malai kofta, but if you're opposed to deep frying, you can bake them. Just brush them lightly with some oil and then bake in a preheated oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes, or until browned on both sides and a bit crispy. When you're ready to serve, heat the gravy back up and serve the kofta swimming in the gravy and coat the sauce all over. If you're not going to serve them all at once, store the kofta separately from the gravy to prevent them from getting soggy. Finish the dish with some chopped fresh cilantro and spoon the gravy over the kofta. You can serve with any kind of Indian flatbread or pita bread, or if you're gluten-free, with white rice. Now it's my favorite part of the video, the taste test. I'm so excited for this because it smells so good. This is unbelievably good. It's hard to describe, but it's crunchy on the outside from being fried, but pillowy and soft on the inside. The sauce is really creamy, aromatic, perfectly spiced. You guys are gonna absolutely love this vegan malai kofta, and if you're in the mood for even more Indian food right now, stay tuned because...
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, now I'm pretty sure that some of you, most of you, did not understand all that vocabulary. Tomorrow I will give you the transcript and we will watch the video again. In the next 2 days, and today, one second. I'm trying to teach you how to learn vocabulary, different techniques. One, you're going to walk around the city tomorrow. That's going to learn vocabulary in context. Another thing you're going to do tomorrow, if we got time, is create a podcast about cuisine in your own food, about your own cuisine. And then on the Friday, we will make food. And you are going to use the vocabulary that we learned today and some of the vocabulary from that. And maybe, if I get time, I will make that food. Okay? Yeah. Okay? I might, but I will have to produce this before the class. So I might do this before. Okay? But you're learning it in context. Okay? Right? Also, remember this rubbish. Okay? Try to remember this rubbish. Okay? And Ying